Well, now we're going to be talking about the difference between a pen, a technical pen, and a felt tip pen. This is a brush tip, steel tip, felt tip. I use this one a lot, the Cornor. It has a nice little line, but I don't use this line a lot. I don't use this line. What I do when I draw, I kind of circle, and I'm constantly working the line to make it look like a brush line. Here's what I do with this, and this is sloppy right now, but this is basically what I do. You do a couple of that, but then you thicken the line, and then let's use the Micron. The Micron has a better tip. You can either use this line, but you can also, once you start seeing that little flux, you can pull. It has a little bit more of a capacity to do a brush-like, because you can push on it and it'll give you a different weight compared to when it's not. That's kind of nice. And you can get thinner than what the steel tip. The steel tip will constantly give you a same type of line, and you have to thicken it up. And then the brush, of course, you can get a variety of stuff. You can get, and it depends on your control on the tip, you can get nice little thin lines. And you got to really be careful. And then you can either do thick, thin. This takes control. This is hard if you're going to use this within a drawing. And then you can just do big. And that's a tough one. I'm not real comfortable with setting this kind of thickness down in a drawing. I mean, it's good to practice, but if I was to do this, what I might do is like okay, but then if I want it thicker, I'd go in and clean it up or thicken it up and then fix it. It's hard to get that first line down as the way you want it. I'm not as confident. But a brush will give you a variety of stuff, and it gives you more of a softer look to things in comparison to a pen. I mean, we'll draw like an eye, a couple of them, and I'll ink them with different. Let's use the Micron again. Like the Micron will give you a harder line because it's a pen, and you can beef it up, but it also lets you feather out some nice. I mean, it's shaky right now, but it's just an exercise. And you, like, see right here, I'd have to go in and thicken this area up just to know that there's a little bit of weight and dimension and shadow there. And coming off the eye. And then if I want to do like eyelids, you got to really build it up. And sometimes you got to bring it out if it's a girl's eye and stuff, because they have a lot of lashes, heavy lashes. But you got to build it with a pen. Whereas with a brush, you can get this stuff, you can get this weight much more faster. And then you can flick it. It's a lot more. And then you got to figure out which way you like to, either pull away or pull in. And if you're pulling in, you got to go tiny to thick. And when you pull out, you got to go thick to thin. See, then here would be a shadow, and then I got to work the thinner line. And if I want to put in some feathering and then here you can blot it. It's a whole different feel. You got to be careful. you get a thicker line, more of a softer, wet kind of feel with brush. And this is fast. I mean, this is just showing you. Whereas our pen, you really have to work this stuff if you want to do it this way. A lot of times you'd fill in the black with a brush and then come in and do like lighter, maybe messier eyelashes or eyebrow stuff. That's the neat thing with a pen compared to a brush, is like, say, if you do hair, let's say we got like a nice throwing of hair and you want to keep it kind of black, but you get some highlights in there. Now if I wanted to kind of come in and do some strands, it's harder with a brush because you might get some thicknesses that you don't like, but if you do it with a pen, it stays all the same and you can kind of come in and keep it semi-messy, but the line stays the same, which is good. I use the pen a lot, like 90% of the time in my drawings because they're so detailed. But I try to use the brush on people and like on clothing, and definitely in hair. I'll use the pen on faces and hands just to give them a little bit more hardness. But you could, like, say if this is a tree bark, you can come in. There's a tree here, and set your shadows with a brush and maybe some heavier lines, and then come in with a pen and set your textures and little cracks and place them off of it. So you mix a lot. I mean, if I was to do this black with a pen, it would just, you'd have to fill and it would take forever. So that's why you have your, like a lot of artists use these X's and just an open area and they go, this is black. And then they will feather off of that and then you'd come in and just fill it black. But a lot of them do that. I usually don't do that at all. I usually work right with what I have and I'll fill the blacks in as I'm going along. Because I like to see the whole drawing happen. I don't like to see like a picture of a dude, like this, and you go, okay, this is X. This is X. This is X still. I'll fill that up. But all of it is, most of this is experimentation. Like I said, like when I use my pen, I'll thicken lines as I'm working, and I try not to use just the one line everywhere. I'm always thickening it up just to give it some weight, and where things are, just to cause the dimension and make things look a little bit better. But I wouldn't, I would be doing this over a pencil. This is just trash. Now, the other thing is, like, say if I have this and I want to create some mood with a brush, I get the hair in here a little bit. If I want to do a shadow, and you come in here and you feather that off. This isn't great at all, but just an idea. And this goes down all the way down across the So, but that's what a brush is for, giving you some good heavies. And you can come in here and fill in nice smaller lines if you want, thicker lines and bigger lines. But it's called experimentation. Looking at other artists, seeing what they're doing, look at their lines, and go, oh, how do they do that? You know, can I do that? And I'm constantly thinking, like a lot of times I'm drawing, I'll go, oh, what would, you know, how would Tom Palmer ink that? Or what's, getting to mind, like, what's a Mike Plug like? Or Wrightson, or Reed Crandall, or Franklin Booth, you know, what are they doing? And so I'm constantly thinking of other stuff too as I'm drawing, especially when it gets to technique. I get lost and I got to go study people just to find out what they're doing, to give me a idea and how I want to cross-hatch something. I was studying Clement, I think that's his name, Clements, and he had some good cross-hatching. I've been doing a lot of cross-hatching lately. I'll look at Art Adams for his cross-hatching, see what goes on. All right. Just gotta work it. And that's the next stupid Vigil video. Thank you.